Danny Baker's Breakfast Show. Weekday mornings from 6. Danny Baker on BBC London 94.9.
Hey baby, I hear the blues are calling. Tossed salads and scrambled eggs. And maybe I seem a bit confused. Yeah, maybe, but I got you pegged. But I don't know what to do with those tossed salads and scrambled eggs. They're calling again.
That tripped out coincidentally, of course, in, I don't want you to think that was in honour of you. Break your blush. I just happened to have that on the menu there, so to speak. So, English as tuppence and changing, yet changeless as canal water, armoured and defeat nestling in green nowhere. Miss Havishambling, feudal still, Opsimath and Eremite, the BBC London 94.9 Breakfast Show. And yesterday, Omar Jalili was sitting there, and he's the sensation of Broadway at the moment, and the toast of the Great White Way, because he's got a hit on NBC. So I said, there it is. I said, getting a blue chip guest in like that, we've got something. And then, of course, I'm forgetting that we can only up the ante by having Gordon Ramsay with us, who, exploded a bombshell on television this week, and it's been the talk of salons up and down London, not to mention one or two kitchens. Good morning, Gordon.
Good morning, mate.
This must have exceeded your expectations, the idea that this show seems to have, it's galvanised television all of a sudden.
Yeah, it's gone slightly bananas. I think what it has given is a real insight into how kitchens shouldn't run.
Yeah.
Really full on. I mean, a real full-on experience.
But the smart word around town in television corridors, of course, nothing moves in television without me being right over it, is that the food explosion was exhausted. Anything to do with chefs and cooking, and it was exhausted. Yeah. Nobody wanted those anymore.
No. And as a nation, we're better than those formatted shows. You know, the sort of.
Well, exactly, and so in prospect here was yourself doing another show about kind of, and yet this one, as I say, my wife simply sat up half the night giving me every detail and what was on this show, and for those who didn't are unaware of it, tell us what the show actually involved.
It's really going around the country and sort of fixing restaurants and giving it your all, spending between sort of 8 and 10 days there, getting inside the chef, getting inside the sort of waiter, and just bringing them up to scratch and really working on customers and making money.
Obviously you weren't going to be satisfied just doing another twist upon Britain's lousiest housekeepers or whatever it was, and you seem to have your heart and soul into this venture.
Yeah, I worked very hard. I mean, I didn't want to go in there and just tiptoe over with a clipboard and say do this, do that. I got changed and I grafted from 7 in the morning to midnight. So,
were you prepared for what you found when you were given the list of venues you were going to?
Not to be violently sick like that. No.
I believe it was a scallop, wasn't it?
Was that the most shocking thing that happened to you?
Well, there's more shocking things next Tuesday. But I mean, the caramelised black pudding sat on a bed of hand-dyed scallops with deep fried Parma ham, finished with hollandaise sauce, spiked with paprika.
What is going on there?
It sounds. Yeah, what is going on? That's exactly what I asked him.
What kind of restaurant was that?
Well, even I couldn't figure that out after 10 days.
The thing is, Gordon, I mean, it seems to have absolutely struck a note, and almost a blow for freedom, because we ate out a lot. My wife is a spectacularly good cook, and yet there is that intimidation and that weariness that when you go to somewhere, and it has to be said, out of London, although there's certainly a percentage of them in London, whereby this incredible fussiness still is seen as being bespoke.
Fussiness and everything covered and caked in herbs, because the insecurity of the cooks that are actually cooking the food are totally oblivious to what should be done. Yeah. And the simplicity factor is not there. So,
Give us again. What was that dish again? Just
that was caramelised black pudding sat on a bed of hand-dyed scallops with deep fried Parma ham, finished with hollandaise sauce, spiked with paprika.
You see, and you literally threw up, because when she told me that, I said, figurative. She went, no, he threw up.
It was rancid, and it was shocking, and what he'd done, he'd sort of defrosted them, but left them outside to defrost. And I said, how on earth can you leave food outside overnight to defrost? You can't do that. Totally oblivious, and totally sort of miles away from what his customers really wanted there, and we're in the heart of Yorkshire.
That is the thing, as I say, I'm shooting this through the prism of Wendy telling me about it, but I can hear her on the phone and all her friends, exactly, because you hit something that people, I don't know why it's such a simple phrase, that everyone's wanting to say, give us the food we want, not the food, and that you keep trying to impress them.
Well, what do you think people want then?
I mean, not because everything just has to be so simple, but I mean, in London, we're in a cosmopolitan city, you can be a little bit sort of extravagant, but there, in a mining dining village. You know, they wanted their sort of steak and chips. They wanted a prawn cocktail. They wanted the most amazing soups. They wanted a T-bone steak.
Yeah.
With homemade chips. They wanted the most amazing salads. They didn't want to eat a loin of venison wrapped in pancetta, finished with a chocolate sauce, served with creamy cabbage.
Even if it was done well. Of course, yeah.
But they're not going to pay £18.50 for that either. So it's quite staggering, having travelled around the country and listening to the chefs, how far removed they were from their customers, and totally oblivion to what the customers really want.
Is that because they all have an eye for the main chance? They think one day someone like you is going to walk in and go, an oasis of sophistication. and is it really just plain what we used to call snobbishness?
Yeah, not only, I think it's arrogance.
Pretentiousness.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, pretentiousness. But we have 3 Michelin stars in Chelsea, and you go and eat there, it's simplicity at its best.
Well, I've always said...
when you've got amazing ingredients, the better the ingredients, the little that needs doing to them.
Yeah.
And of course, this guy couldn't even recognise an oxtail in a market. And I asked him, look at that beautiful brazen steak there. So what would you do with it? He said, well, I'll stick it on barbecue. Yeah. Come on, you twat, wake up. How on earth can you put that on a barbecue? Does the word braising mean anything to you? So
And when we come around in a moment to certain things in your book over here, The Kitchen Heaven, which I know you say, we'll deal with this in a moment, but cheap food is every bit as valid as buying, the finest steaks and all of that. We'll come around to the actual nuts and bolts in a minute. But these fellas thought they were doing a good job, but then they regressed as soon as you left as well. They went back to their...
exactly that. They slipped back into the sort of numbskull attitude.
Was it attitude rather than skill? I mean, they were good enough as cooks, but it was more to do with their approach.
No, they weren't even good enough as cooks.
They weren't actually good cooks either.
Well, apparently, Gordon went back a week later, opened the fridge, and the bottom of the drawer at the bottom of the fridge was congealed with eggs that had fallen there days before and not been mopped up, and just things like that. I don't know.
Why did they agree to take part in that case? Because there's every danger that you're going to torpedo these places.
Because they wanted to learn, and what an experience! And it was an experience for me. I don't discover kitchens like that often.
Do you think that reinforces people's thoughts about what food is like in this country?
I think it will now give an insight for customers to not really take for granted, just exactly question now what's going on, and we can as a nation be more confident.
It's odd. I mean, this is an odd rule of thumb, but we go we eat out a lot and all over the world sometimes, and I know it's kind of liberating for people you're with sometimes who have got a steak and they want ketchup with it, but they say, I love with this ketchup. I said, well, ask the fella. Ask the fella. Exactly. Well, you can't. And people still live like that. And I said, no, the mark of a good restaurant is if they say, you want that, we got it. And of course, most good restaurants will say, certainly, but you do still find the ones who go, you don't have that with that, sir.
Yeah, I know, and you're paying the bill.
Yes, exactly.
This is your prerogative. I came across one restaurant where it had a caramelised Barbary duck breast, and in brackets it had £18.50, and the next bracket it said, serve pink only.
Only?
Yeah. I mean, who the hell are they to turn around and choose?
Plainly is a market, though, because we're hitting the restaurants up, but plainly the public also think it's sophisticated, and I think they're marrying up with a huge swathe of the nation who believe there is a sophisticated night out and gives them the power over others. So, and as I say, anyway, the clarion call on the series on Tuesday night, and the blow has been struck back, and we start rolling back that nonsense right here and now. Gordon Ramsay's business. Don't want to spoil your enjoyment, but just after they're talking to Gordon Ramsay, I guess, this morning about next week's instalment of this show, and it does feature an exchange whereby the owner of the restaurant asks Gordon to step outside and duke it out in the car park, and indeed they do. So now we've got ourselves some television. Just wanted to get some background here, Gordon. What was the first time you flew solo and said, that's my creation, I'm taking it out to a table? Do you remember the actual dish? The first time you ever did it for yourself and said, that's it?
Yeah, I think it was like a really nice ravioli lobster. Sat with some really nice sort of salad of basil, but ravioli lobster sticks in my mind.
And the inklings of this, like when you're 8 and 9 years old, was it there? Was it like, Mozart sitting down to play the piano, you thought, I can really do this?
No, not really, no. I mean, Mum was always just a classic mum, really, and a great cook, but no, I was too busy sort of trying to play football there.
But even so, you plainly had, I mean, yes, of course it's taught, and of course there's an education in what you do, but nevertheless, it's like people say, anyone can learn to sing, and that's not quite true.
No, there's got to be that touch of naturalism inside, and that really sort of urge to want to eat.
I think that's one, especially of cookery and food shows. The great myth is that you can do this too, and I feel no, because that decries what certain when people who are good, you think, this is just a matter of doing it long enough.
No, it's from the heart. It's inside. It's impregnated from an early age, and having lived in France for those 3 years. boy, did I learn a lot about food. I mean,
Where were you in France?
I was in Paris with Guy Savoy to begin with, and then Robuchon for a year. And then I went to live in a little place just outside Nice called Golfe Juan. So, 3 years in France, and I became French.
You wouldn't have been the artist you are without that, you suspect, no?
Exactly that. And it's impregnated from an early age, and they just have the most amazing sort of love, care, and understanding of ingredients, and that's you can't buy that, like you said. You can't read the following and you will become. You've got to live it, breathe it, want it, and become obsessed with it.
And given the two words that skirt around it, but give you a forthright and some say intimidating attitude yourself. Have you ever been intimidated while in a kitchen?
Never.
No.
Never.
I bet scared.
Do I look?
No.
Scared.
Scared.
Pressure's special, really. I enjoy being under pressure. So I perform better under pressure than I do when I've got sort of nothing to do with it.
Surely everything couldn't have always been plain sailing when you first set up your restaurant.
No, not at all, no. And that's the exciting thing about kitchens, the activity and the boisterousness and the fight for perfection. It's a challenge in each every day, and I still haven't had 2 days the same yet.
And to your knowledge, have you ever poisoned anyone?
Never. Never. My ex-girlfriend.
I'm talking about unintentionally.
No, I've never poisoned anyone.
What is you're talking about the shellfish there and the made you throw up. Is that the most finicky? Is that the most dangerous?
Shellfish has a sort of 24-hour sort of sell-by date. And, I mean, a real stringent 24-hour. Dealing with things like chicken and beef, and once something's contaminated in the fridge, it just spreads like wildfire.
I bet, So, and a bit on personal tasting. I'm not talking about whether, aesthetically or what can't you bear? I mean,
ladies' fingers.
Being what?
Okra.
Oh, okra. Okay, so there it is.
They are the most disgusting, slimiest, greasiest, horrible. Sort of
you can't really see the point of them.
No, exactly that. And of course,
many people are going to turn up at your restaurant and order that tonight, now, don't you?
I don't have chicken tikka masala in the restaurant. And a lot of sort of the Asian cooking use it as a sort of bulk vegetable that needs sort of 4.5 days to cook.
I mean, you say you work well under pressure, and you do have the reputation for keeping people in line in the kitchen. Do you react well to criticism? Do people come at you and say, I don't like this?
Well, I get turned on when people criticise me. Yeah, I mean, when it's constructive, fine, but when it's personal, different ballgame. I've taken a lot of that over the last couple of years.
Just coming on to your own children now, and the meals you prepare. Do you try and instill that to them? Are you hoping, like showbiz people, they'll go into the game, or is that going to happen naturally anyway? Do you reckon?
With 3 girls and a boy. Our eldest daughter Megan. We had a phone call from a school last week, just as they were going back after the half term. And Tana said, school teacher phoned up to say that they got a slight problem with Megan. She's been a little bit sort of cocky, a little bit arrogant. And I said to Tana, well, what are you worried about? She says, well, it was in her cookery lesson. I said, well, that's fantastic news. Already at the age of 5. And
5? Oh, okay, 5.
What she'd actually done is asked the teacher, she said, Miss, have you washed your hands? Because Daddy said you must always wash your hands before you touch food. So that was fantastic. And the teacher looked at her and said,
And what about has the impact of television in the last 10 years on cookery had? Are you seeing a lot more opportunists and arrivists turn up thinking, I'm going to be one of these flamboyant chefs? And if so, I suppose you have to knock that out of them. I mean, they see yourself and they see
making it harder. I mean, there's only one Jamie, there's only one Gary, and these guys are phenomenally talented. And even if Jamie or Gary wasn't on telly, then there'd be an absolute dream to have in your kitchen.
They were naturally before. That's how they came to be, of course.
Talented chefs. So there's a misconcepted sort of idea of becoming a TV chef, and that was clearly what Tim Gray's sort of...
Is that part of the reason behind this series as well? Because Jamie Oliver, I think, did himself a lot of great favours when he did the 15.
Yes, that's right.
He had the persona, and you either liked him or you didn't. Once you saw him actually there, sleeve rolled up doing it, everyone went, wow, this guy's
and his own money. And then, of course, it was quite interesting focusing on the attitude of the youngsters coming into the industry today, just how blasé they were, and how they thought they could become great chefs by working 7.5 hours a day. Well, that doesn't work.
No.
You've got to breathe it, you've got to want it, and you've got to be under immense pressure from an early age and get in there and learn.
And yourself, I mean, given that this has gone off like gangbusters this week, does that necessarily mean you have to sacrifice your time in your own kitchens? I mean,
no, not at all.
You're not going to be seduced out of...
No, you won't be seeing a Gordon Ramsay Cornish pasty yet. I won't be going around the nation showing you how to make...
The offers must come in, though,
It's staggering, but I don't need to sell my soul for that one now. And
right now, no. But and the other thing is when you go to for want of a better phrase, celebrity chef restaurants, people don't actually expect to see somebody in there doing it. How much time do you delegate between your various businesses?
It's quite interesting, really. We've got the most amazing team, and over 900 staff now, so we work together each and every day, and we didn't finish last night, early hours this morning, till 2:30, 2:45 in the morning, because we had to do the final tasting. So my guys get me every day, and when I'm not out and about, I'm in the kitchen.
Yeah, and is it like having a big hit show that you have to keep going, dropping in once a week just to keep it stand? How easy is it for, once you've moved on to your next restaurant, to keep enthusiasm in the others?
Down to the staff, and we've got talented cooks, female and male, coming through now that have all got little mini platforms to explode on. So part of my job is creating that talent and nursing that talent and then driving it.
You've certainly done that with Angela Hartnett, who was probably your most famous protege, and she's a really feisty lady. But you've also, people have accused you in the press of being sexist, but yet you've taken this woman under your wing and really sort of encouraged her, and now she's sort of out on her own.
There's another half dozen you're waiting behind the scenes for that level of insight.
Out of how many, Gordon? I mean, out of 100 people who come and want to enter your business, how many get through out of the 100?
Would actually make
who'll be
2.
Notable,
2.
Really? As little as that?
Because they get involved, they fall in love with the glamorous idea, Danny, of becoming a talented chef, yet the reality of it is graft.
Yeah.
Whether they like it or not. And you've got to go through that sort of apprentice, you've got to stand by a chef, and you've got to go to hell and back.
I mean, it's very sexy images you see on television, everyone, the chaos, as you say, shouting and hollering, the doors opening and closing. But how much of that is there any element that's actually grindingly mundane that comes as a shock to people who want to do it?
There's a huge, there's insight. And like I said earlier, you can't come across any ingredient and feel intimidated by it. So you've got to get inside every ounce of ingredient, whether it's a stick of salsify, whether it's a line caught sea bass, whether it's a hand-dyed scallop from the west coast of Scotland, and you've got to know that inside out.
I know you've got to get off pretty early, so let's just a couple of generic things. Are you constantly surprised by food? Do you think you've tasted everything now? How do you stop yourself becoming jaded? And
I'm in love with food, and I constantly push myself to the extreme to continuously learn about it.
Do you feel you've tasted the ultimate steak yet, or the ultimate lobster yet?
At the age of 37, no. I mean, I'm still in search of perfection.
And you were talking about simplicity earlier on. Just expand on that a little more. What do you mean by saying, when you cook, just keep it simple?
It's really weird. When I get a new cook in the kitchen, I ask them to make a broccoli soup. And out comes this tray with shallots, cream, butter, broccoli, tarragon, basil, and I make a broccoli soup with broccoli and water. And the broccoli's cooked in that water, and the water it's cooked in, it's blended, and that's back to it. And that's a broccoli soup. Now give that to a young cook with 15 ingredients. Now mine's got 2, but I can tell you now that mine would taste a damn sight better than his.
Did you learn that in France?
Yes, I did, yes.
Yeah. Beforehand you would have done that. Well, I say you've got to be away. So you've got Kitchen Heaven, which is 100 brand new, and I need you just to put a signature on that before you go there. And that's out right now, and it's got that. I can get by, but I love looking at. I'm no good at cooking, but I love looking at photos in cookery books, and there's plenty in there.
And there's nothing intimidating about this. I mean, there's 100 recipes there that every kitchen in Britain should really know.
Exactly. That's the thing. There's no little curly things flying off of other curly things.
And there's no hand-dyed scallop sat on a bed of caramelised black pudding with deep-fried parma ham with holiday sauce spiked with paprika.
The more you say that, it sounds quite tasty. When you, all right, last question for you as you're signing there. When you come in roaring drunk, if you ever come in roaring drunk, I can't imagine such a thing. It's 2:30 in the morning. The rest of us, of course, start putting toast in a bowl or something or whatever. What is your signature dish at 2:30 when you've had a couple?
Oh dear, oh dear.
You've walked indoors, you've just turned the lights, and you think, a little snack before I go a bit.
A little snack. That's a tough one, that one, Danny.
You look as if you couldn't possibly just grab something and eat it.
No, I couldn't, and you wouldn't catch me doing something unorthodox. But I mean, do you know what?
You'd have planned before you went out, I'll bet.
Just a bowl of muesli, really, with a fresh banana. Drizzle with.
No, that's enough. Keep it simple. Gordon Ramsay, the sensation, and you can see why. And it's on. Give us.
Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares is on Channel 4 Tuesdays at 9 o'clock, and Kitchen Heaven is out now. Price £20.
Well done, my friend. On the show, we like to see people do well, and 2 days running now, we've got people who are gangbusters. Gordon Ramsay, everyone. Thank you.